And showtime! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. A look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro network, also a co-host of this program. I'm joined this week for the first time face-to-face in close to 2 years by your other host of this program. That would be Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, how goes it?
Well, it goes well, Rich, now that we are both here in Las Vegas together for the first time in a long time. But you know what? It still kind of feels like yesterday to me.
It feels good, doesn't it? And I hope it feels good to you, the regular 5-minute roundup viewer or even listener, but especially the viewers. Seeing Eric and me next to each other for the first time since we believe January 2020, it's just a little tiny sign that things are maybe kind of moving in a positive direction, and we'll take any sign of that sort that we can get these days. Now, why are we in Las Vegas? Why are we sitting next to each other? Because we are both attending the Caseya Connect IT event here at the MGM Grand, which is taking place this week.
Yep, and yes, let's dive into today's top story like we used to, Rich, when we had that kneecap to kneecap interaction. It just adds a little extra something, doesn't it?
I totally agree. Needless to say, the top story this week comes from the Caseya show that we're both attending right now. So Fred Vacola, the CEO of the company, got on stage Wednesday this week to deliver his keynote. I am quite certain that he would really love to have gotten on the stage and spoken exclusively about their IT Complete platform and accomplishments, in the last year and plans for the year ahead. Needless to say, there was this 800-pound gorilla in the room that he absolutely had to address, and that would be the ransomware attack on Kaseya's VSA RMM tool, which took place in July. Giant story, transcended the IT industry, in fact. And I will give them credit. I will give Fred Vacola in particular credit, because he got up there on stage in front of a room full of people and an even larger virtual audience, and he took it on the chin and acknowledged what happened and how bad it was for everyone involved. And I will quote him directly. This is sort of the money quote from his discussion of that breach and its aftermath. He said, and I quote, "It's embarrassing. It's our job to figure out how to live up to our commitments, and we let this group down, and we take that very seriously." So acknowledging that, like all of the other managed service tool makers out there, makers of RMM products, PSA products that are very much under attack from threat actors and other cyber criminals right now. They do everything in their power to protect their MSPs. It's their responsibility, in fact, to protect their users from harm. And in this case, they weren't able to do that. And the attackers, utilizing, I should say, very sophisticated techniques, were in fact able to breach the system. Kaseya acted very quickly, and because they did, only about 56 of their roughly 37,000 BSA users had their data encrypted. But nobody, no VSA user basically, had access to the tool for over a week. And if you are an MSP, that is a long time to be without an RMM tool. A few other odds and ends that came up in that presentation. Kaseya did go out and get a decryption key for this ransomware and distribute it to the people who had their data encrypted. Needless to say, or for reasons you can understand, they didn't go into great detail about where they got that key or how they got it. But Vacola absolutely insisted they did not get it from R-Evil, the group that actually perpetrated the attack. And I'm quoting here again directly, "Kaseya didn't pay a dime of ransom." It sounds like they were able to get it through some kind of third party. We don't know what sort of techniques were used. There was some controversy at the time when the key was distributed about the fact that Kaseya asked the recipients of that key to sign a non-disclosure agreement. It looked to some people like maybe Kaseya was trying to bury the news a little bit, and Vacola addressed that directly as well. He said that they were told really, to have everyone sign an NDA by whatever group this was that got them the key, because there were some very sensitive techniques utilized to get that key, and they didn't want the bad guys to understand how it was done. So this was sort of a requirement of what was done there. I had an opportunity to interview Vakola just a few hours ago. He didn't go into specific dollar amounts, but he said it's safe to say they are investing millions of dollars incrementally now on additional security-related measures. As you can imagine, he took pains to emphasize they were investing heavily in security before. They are upping those investments even further, in the millions of dollars. He didn't give me a specific number. They are hiring people. In particular, this week they announced at the show they have a new Chief Information Security Officer. His name is Jason Minar. Up until very recently, he was a highly placed special agent in the FBI, specifically assigned to cyber criminal operations. He was part of the response team that worked with Kaseya on the VSA breach. He is very familiar with Kaseya and his tool set, and apparently Kaseya was impressed enough by him to bring him on board and help them further enhance their cybersecurity efforts. And so already there are efforts being made to increase their internal and external penetration testing, for example, get more of that going on so that they can at least attempt to keep ahead of the people who are out there continually trying to work their way into these systems. It was a rough summer for Kaseya, Eric, and they were pretty upfront about what happened to them at the time. They were pretty upfront about what happened to them and their responsibility for it this week at the show, and we're at least getting a glimpse into what they're doing now to reduce the chances of this kind of thing happening again.
Yeah, Rich, and let's hope that this is kind of that shot across the bow that really gets all of the vendors that serve our channel and our community to, rethink their strategy. I mean, Kaseya, this happened, and, they've, stood up and said, listen, that happened on our watch. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we protect our clients and our clients' clients, because those are the folks that really suffered, right? We know from covering the story earlier this year on the program where a lot of end user customers were completely locked out of their systems for that same period of time, right? So let's hope, like I say, that this is something that encourages all of the vendors and disties and everyone that works in the channel to rethink their strategy, double down on these investments, because these criminals, it boggles the mind the extent to which they're able to infiltrate using more and more and more advanced techniques. So.
And I can assure you, they, the other companies out there in the RMM PSA space, the managed services tool space, really didn't need, encouragement basically to invest heavily in security. Within the last few months, I've interviewed the Chief Information Security Officer at Datto and at ConnectWise, and I had a brief opportunity to meet the new Chief Information Security Officer here at Caseya. But at Datto and ConnectWise at least, and I'm sure at Enable and everybody else as well, they were already, before the VSA breach, painfully aware of the fact that they are squarely in the crosshairs now. Everybody is investing heavily in hardening that tool set so that they're not the next name on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times.
Well, I understand that, but I got to believe that this perked them up just a little extra. Just a little extra.
I think you are probably right, sir. Well, Eric, what is your tip of the week?
Been saving it for the live reveal, Rich. So the tip of the week this week, folks, is truing up existing clients. I've been having more than a few conversations this beginning of this quarter with partners, clients that I work with, and asking them about their rate increase strategies. And one thing keeps bubbling up when we're talking about this stuff is, well, how many of your existing clients are actually paying you what they should be paying you? And I, Rich, was shocked at the answer of almost every partner I asked. They almost all of them said, yeah, we've got a bunch that aren't paying us what they should be paying us because we've deployed these things, we fill in the blank, COVID, this and that, we reacted and all that, and we just haven't trued them up. Imagine that. All this money sitting over here in a pile, and the longer that we wait to request it, the more difficult it's going to be for clients to say, oh yeah, absolutely. Here it is. It's well worth it, right? So everybody, please, we've talked about raising rates, and getting those letters out before the end of the year. So 2022 kicks off with a bang, but step back a second and review your agreements and make certain that all the additional users that you set up and all the additional licenses you deployed and whatever else is in that silo of unbilled work is billed, and you start collecting that revenue.
It doesn't matter if you're charging per device or per user. If there have been devices and or users added and you're not billing for them, you are literally giving away what you do. And that's just straight off the bottom line. How often should people be truing up? Is that a monthly, a quarterly, an annual process?
I recommend quarterly. Every month truing up. I know, Rich and everybody, I know how difficult it is to get just the normal invoicing out every month. The invoicing in advance of the next month for managed services, and then the invoicing in arrears for all the extra stuff that fell outside of the agreement. I mean, I understand that is probably the number one biggest challenge, for MSPs already. But folks, I mean, this is money that is owed to you. And so quarterly, just do a quick review. And you know what, Rich? Once you true up, the first time, you're probably good for a little bit. The next quarter, you probably catch a couple of more stragglers. But after that activity becomes so distasteful and so time consuming that you probably charge your clients when you're supposed to charge them and not wait a quarter to collect that money, right? So that's kind of the pain that encourages you to, do what you're supposed to do anyway. If a client adds new users, hey, let them know, okay, you're going to see this reflected in your next invoice. We're good, high five, let's go. And don't let this stuff creep up, because I know partners that are owed literally thousands of dollars because of this.
And I assume this is something that gets spelled out in some fashion in the master services agreement?
Well, of course. I mean, when you think about it, the SAO, right, the scope of work for an MSP, includes everything that's in the SAO and excludes everything that is not within the SAO. So it's simply a change management protocol process, right? It's just, we've got to get used to, implementing change properly. Again, that's another thing that we all, find areas to improve on as well. But this is one where you're not trying to sell anything extra. It's already been approved and implemented and in place. So shouldn't be an awkward conversation. Don't make it awkward. It's simply, sorry, here's an invoice for all that, stuff we did, last quarter. So we'd appreciate it if you can, put it in your, payment cycle. And, don't make a big thing out of it. If you make a big deal out of it, the client will make a big deal out of it. Just let them know this is outstanding stuff that's owed. Hey, our apologies for not billing you sooner. We'd appreciate you expediting this. It's just an ask. And your clients that want you to be successful will go ahead and not make a big deal out of it. And you're not going to have a lot of folks push back. If they do, rethink that relationship and see if you can fix it, because that's not a good thing.
All right. Well, that, folks, leaves us with time for just one more story this week on the show. And, Eric, it feels like we've all been kind of dodging hazards, for quite a while now, right? Whether it is ransomware or COVID, you name it. We're all kind of, looking out. Here's a hazard that somebody in British Columbia turned out, exposed to, had to dodge, basically, that she probably wasn't anticipating. This story goes back to October 3rd. A woman named Ruth Hamilton was sound asleep in her bed in Golden, British Columbia in Canada when she heard a very loud boom and felt herself sort of showered with debris. Took her a little while to figure out what had happened, but a meteorite had struck her home. Right through the not just through the roof of her home, but right into the bedroom, actually. Just barely missed her. So just in case, you're not stressed out enough about the possibility of getting a virus or getting struck by ransomware, or who knows what else could happen out there. Just remember, folks, meteorites. Could happen.
Isn't that how Guardians of the Galaxy starts off? I don't remember. Anyway.
I don't need to star in that movie. Thank you in real life. Well, folks, that's all the time we've got this week on the 5-Minute Roundup. Thank you so much for joining us. We are both a video and a podcast. If you are watching a video, but you're into podcasts, check us out there. We're on Stitcher and Google and Apple and all the places you can get podcasts. Sign up for us there, become a subscriber. Hey, maybe take an extra few seconds and give us a nice 5-star review there. It will make a difference in making the show more visible to other people like you who might enjoy it. If you are listening to the podcast, check us out on video. We're on YouTube. Easiest place to find us is on the ChannelPro Network channel there. And if you click that little bell icon, you'll actually get notified when the new episodes go up. To learn more about what's going on here at the Kaseya Show, get all sorts of great business growth advice for your company, go to the ChannelProNetwork.com website every day because we've got great new content for you there every day. To learn more about Eric and the work he does with his clients, your destination should be ErickSimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, we thank you for joining us here on the 5-Minute Roundup. We're going to see you again next week. I think we're going to be sitting side by side again, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.